we had 3 weeks to write an album and another 3 weeks to record it. And that put us all under pressure. Another pressure that added to this is we went digital, which is a far harsher, unforgiving sound than anything we were ever used to. It was harsher for the vocalist to, I suppose it's like someone hearing their voice for the first time. They never like what they hear. Suddenly with digital, you had this hard edge sound, which I found very uninspiring. I found it brutal. It was brutalist in everything that we put to the digital machine. There was also another problem that every time I was near it, it would break. And I have this strange thing about me. I break watches, I break phones, apps will just go crazy when I'm near them. And these machines, I got banned from being in that corner of the studio. So I would have to walk into the studio, circumnavigate around the master desk and just stay as far away from the recording material as I could. Because the people who built the track system said that I have some magnetic relationship, because this used to happen near the 24 track as well, that if I went too near it would blank the tape. So I just had to stay away, which was really alienating, because people were firstly seeing me as someone who had to stay at the far side of the room, and secondly as the artist. So it's very bizarre to be banished from your own creative process, as it were. Another technical thing that I found quite difficult, because in the very beginning we were recording at the Roundhouse Studios that had one huge main studio, then a narrow corridor down about 6 steps, and then you're in this big live room. So in the beginning I had to stay in the live room to not break the recording system. So I was having to communicate through the glass, and eventually they'd let me into the room when we had enough tracks down. So all of that kind of alienation really ate at me as a creative process. And having not had the live rehearsal room process to play the tracks in, I was genuinely struggling on this album as a singer. What the technology affected for me was I couldn't experiment the way we did on the other previous albums. The other previous albums had so much joyous experimentation. Let's try this backing vocal, let's try this sound. We just didn't dare do it. We were eating up so much time with breakdowns in the studio. And if I wanted to try something, there was none of the... Going back to Anthem, what Nick Tauber would do was give us in the headphones the fully produced track. So you got this rich, beautiful event coming into your ears. What we had with the Changeling was harsh, brittle, almost painful to listen to. It was the raw sound. So if I wanted to try something with a backing vocal, it just fell flat. It never lifted. There was very little experience on the Changeling album when I listened to something, and that lifting, that emotional lifting of the spirit just held you up. In fact, as an experience of performing that album, I've only ever felt that lifting in this millennium when we've actually performed it live. And you feel that the arrangement of Castaways and the build actually lifts you as a performer. Angel and Me, it lifts you as a performer. And the Pact, I mean, my God, to perform that live. I've only experienced that emotional lift in the live performance, never in the studio. It was very strange.